Good morning everyone, and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be talking about Circe. This is a kind of mythological retelling of Circe, which is a sorceress or a minor goddess, you could say. It is a story about self-discovery, about transformation, and also about female empowerment. So there's a lot you could talk about. It, a lot you could talk about from this book. What I'm going to talk about is just one of like a very small thing actually. I'm going to be talking about, or more specifically, a quote and the kind of emotions that we feel when we are younger. So to start us off, the quote is as follows. That is one thing gods and mortals share. When we are young, we think ourselves the first to have each feeling in the world. So, what can we say about this quote? Well, when we are young, we generally feel like that the feelings that we feel, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's anger, no matter what it is, we generally get the idea almost as if we're the first ones to feel like this. We feel the things very deeply, even when we feel joy and whatever. And I wanted to talk a bit about this illusion of uniqueness that we have. We feel that we are very unique in what we feel. First off, I would like to say that I think this feeling might actually be necessary. In order to feel, or in order to mature emotionally and all these things, you kind of have to be put through it, so to say. And it's going to be more effective, the experience, the stronger you feel. The second part is that when we are younger, we are still kind of discovering a bit who we are. And I think it helps that while we're discovering the world also, not just who we are, but we're learning stuff about the world, we're experiencing things. It helps if we feel like we are living a story that matters. If we have all these bland emotions, it's very hard to see how things really matter and to take our place in the world. So I think it's good as an introduction to this life on Earth if we feel strongly about things when we're younger. Like that we feel like we're living in a story that matters. Another thing is that I think the strength of the feelings also makes us acknowledge ownership of them more, which is not necessarily a bad thing in general. And so I think sometimes we do need to feel like we are the first ones to feel like this. But then comes the growth. The growth that is obviously necessary. There is no real benefit either to just be emotional. There's not necessarily anything honorable or noble in being governed by your emotions. It's part of maturing also to come out ahead out of these emotional disturbances that we go through. And this is part of maturing. And I think a big part of maturing is just realizing that what we're feeling isn't anything new. And also, this doesn't mean that it's any less real. Just because you're not the only one to feel like this doesn't mean that it's less real. But it means that you are acknowledging or realizing that you're joining the common human experience. When you realize that you're not the first to feel all these things, you're joining the human story, the human history of stories. And I think in this age of social media, it's almost like broadcasting your feelings and sharing things, sharing occurrences. There's almost this illusion of it being original. People broadcast their feelings as if they're unprecedented, as if this is something extraordinary. every hot take, every breakup, every personal awakening is getting posted as if it's some kind of revelation. And I think maturing is realizing that since the beginning of the human species, we have been going through this. And I think in our world, with the publicity and with social media and all these things, we kind of reward the illusion of originality. We are still, to this day, especially if you read stories that were written a long time ago, you start to realize that we're just replaying again and again the same ancient themes, the same stories that humans have been living through since the beginning. So I think this quote where they say that both gods and humans, they think themselves to be the first to be experiencing the feelings that they are, when in fact they're not at all the first and they're not going to be the last. So I think this quote also transmits some humility on the topic. But like I said, our emotions, they may not be new, but that also doesn't make them any less sacred. They're still yours, and they should also tell you that they help you to realize that your story matters. It's your story and you own it, and you own your emotions. So then also with the maturity, you don't let them govern you as much, because you kind of realize these things happen again and again. They have been happening since the beginning of our species, and they're going to continue happening. So even though we're not the first to feel this strong love or this strong rage or this joy, I think we can also acknowledge that connects us to each other. We're all going through similar things in different ways, and it also connects us to our ancestors. They've all gone through it, and most of them actually went through way worse emotions than we are doing now. So I think that is something worth acknowledging. Another quote, there's a lot of quotes I could talk about in this book. Some of the quotes is not really for me to talk about, but these ones I think I can. Another one is actually the first line of the whole book, so it's not going to be a big spoiler, this one. The first sentence: "When I was born, the name for what I was did not yet exist." So obviously in the context that this is told, we're talking about like a minor goddess, so she's a bit something special. But still, in our context of just regular people being born, each of us, even though we relive the same things or the same themes, the same similar stories, there's still not a determination of what you're going to be. So even though the same themes are repeated again and again, there's a lot of freedom for you to decide which direction your story is going to go. Now that was all for me today. I hope you enjoyed this little commentary, and I would really recommend the book. Actually, it's a really nice book and has some great themes in it. I also think that if you like Greek mythology or things along those lines, this is a great kind of modern retelling of these stories. And if you've already read some of the Greek mythology and stuff like that, you're going to recognize some of the names. And I always like when that happens, when you read something and you recognize a reference to something else, because you feel like you're part of the club that gets the references. So I highly recommend the book, and I'll see you next time. Bye.